much for coming. It's really lovely to see so many of you here. We really appreciate it. Welcome to Big Questions. My name is Jodie. I'm a member of the Christian Union here at Nottingham University. And this week is the CU's events week called Life, as you can see by a lot of the jumpers that are around. We are running events all week to answer some of the questions that can act as barriers to Christianity. And it's really great to see so many of you here. Today's question is religion bad for you? That's probably a question that a lot of you have maybe asked before when you've looked at the world, and you may have come with your questions, or you may have questions that come up as the talk goes on. If you do, please text them into this number. We're going to have a time Q&A at the end, and it will be an opportunity to have some of those questions asked. So you can ask these questions all the way through the talk. I'll be manning the phone and we will answer a few of those at the end. But let's get started. So I'm going to invite our speaker up, Nathan, so if you'd like to give him a round of applause.
Jodie, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming as well. It's my first time here at the university in Nottingham, and you all made me feel very welcome so far, so thank you. I've come up from London, so I studied there, studied as a trumpet player, so if you came along last night you might have seen me wearing a slightly different hat, playing the trumpet, but this is kind of what I do day to day with not university in Nottingham but in London, with different universities there, helping people as they're looking through some of the big questions to do with Christianity, like today's. So we're looking at this question, is religion bad for you? Is religion bad for you? The prominent atheist, Richard Dawkins, I'm sure many of you will have heard of him. In 2006, in the preface of his book, The God Delusion, he said these words. He said, imagine with John Lennon, the former frontman of the Beatles, imagine with John Lennon a world with no religion. Imagine no suicide bombers, no 9/11, no 7/7, no crusades, no witch hunts, no gunpowder plot, no Israeli-Palestinian wars, no Serb, Croat, Muslim massacres, no persecution of Jews as Christ killers, no Northern Ireland's troubles, no honour killings, no shiny-suited, bouffant-haired televangelists fleecing gullible people of all their money. Imagine no Taliban to blow up ancient statues, no public beheadings of blasphemers. Because you hear all this, that's quite an attractive picture, isn't it? Perhaps hearing that. Generation back, it's going to be on the screen if anybody can actually see the screen here. We've got a little quote by Bertrand Russell, A Generation Back, but he takes it a step further, saying, I regard religion as a disease born of fear and as a sort of untold misery to the human race. Seems logical, but the late Christopher Hitchens, who passed away a few years ago, the new atheist, he would say, perhaps most concisely, in just 3 words, religion poisons everything. Religion poisons everything. Do you know what you make of that? In a few polls recently, a few years ago now, but 2007, YouGov did a little poll, and they asked people there what they thought of religion. Is it good for the world? Is it bad for the world? And 42% of the people who were asked this question said, yeah, it's bad for the world, 42%. Or the BBC, they did a similar poll entitled What the World Thinks of God. 29% of participants thought that the world would be better off if people didn't believe in God. We had our own little survey, I don't know if any of you saw it outside today, where you can put a little ball, kid's ball in one of these categories. Is religion bad for you, yes or no? And when I went out, this about an hour ago, it was about 50-50. It was mixed opinions, mixed thoughts on that. Perhaps more today in 2016 than ever before, we are asking this question, is religion bad for us, bad for society, bad for you? Is it just a bringer of misery and of war for so many around the world? I guess the last few years have perhaps highlighted the danger of religious fundamentalism more than ever before. The things that people would do in the name of their God, whoever that might be. Many people would point to the Paris attacks just a few months ago, wasn't it? The Paris attacks, and say that is the fruit of religion. Imagine a world without that. I find it interesting that just with the Paris attacks around that time, it's slightly intriguing that though many people changed their Facebook backgrounds to the colours of the French flag or the tricolor, At the same time, the most used hashtag at that time on Twitter was hashtag pray for parrots. The fourth highest trending hashtag of the whole year, pray for parrots. So in the heart of this awful atrocity, I guess the outworking of religion, you could say, was a deeply religious sentiment, one of prayer. Would we be better off ditching religion or not? That's a big question. I think you guys here, in some ways, the future of Britain, potential movers and shakers in deciding the future. Is religion dangerous? Is it just kind of anti-science, anti-reason, anti-logic, anti-progress? You might be coming today asking that question on an intellectual level, but I'll keep you aware that others in this room will be asking this with wounds, perhaps with your experiences of Christianity or religion. Perhaps you've been sorely disappointed in the past by the church or by individual Christians. Look, if that is you coming today, thank you so much for coming. I'm so sorry that has been your experience. I hope that I say something that's helpful today, and do grab me at the end if you want to chat. But actually, whatever our views are on this topic, we all bring intellectual predispositions based on our experience. I think this makes sense. So if we've got great friends, maybe they brought us on today who are Christians and they're caring and they're loving, well then we're going to find the intellectual case for Christianity perhaps more plausible. But if it's on the other end of the spectrum and actually all we've received from church and Christians has been awful, well, we're going to have to find the arguments for Christianity very, very persuasive to even give it a second thought. I hope that makes sense. And actually a week like this at the Sea is pretty much a great place to think through some of those questions and issues that you might have. But just before we look at today's question, is religion bad for you? Let me just add three hopefully helpful little clarifications. First of all, it would be naive to think that killing off religion would make the world a better or a safer place. I delved through the history books of the last 20th century, show that the communist regimes of Russia, Cambodia, China, which rejected all forms of organised religion and belief in God, actually these regimes, they led to catastrophic violence. Societies that have tried to rid themselves completely from all religion, well, arguably they've just been as oppressive as I think New York Times best-selling author Tim Keller sums it up quite well when he says this: we can only conclude that there is some violent impulse so deeply rooted in the human heart that it expresses itself regardless of what the particular beliefs of a particular society might be, whether socialist or capitalist, religious or irreligious, individualistic or hierarchical. See what he's saying there? It's something more than just religion, it seems. Secondly, though, it would be naive to kind of lump all the religions together as one. So some of the guys I mentioned at the beginning, and those quotes, that's often what they would do. They basically say, look, here's religion, they're all the same, and that's what's evil. I think we just need to work a little bit harder than that. So Sam Harris, one of the leading atheists in America, Sam Harris, he said this, that not many of us will lie awake at night fearing an attack from the loving Amish community. Just realistically, not many of us are doing that. So we just need to work a little bit harder perhaps, rather than lumping all the religions together. But thirdly, leading on from that, it would be naive for me to speak today at any great length about Islam or Hinduism or Buddhism. I'm a Christian. That's the view that I would love to defend and also commend to you today. So I want to think about today's question really by asking a question. When someone is claiming to represent Christianity or Jesus, are they doing that in a way that is consistent with what the Bible teaches? I said earlier, if someone is claiming to represent Christianity or represent Jesus in any different way, are they doing that in a way that is consistent with the teachings of Christianity in the Bible? You can imagine a university exchange took place with Nottingham and the University of Samoa. Okay, just imagine this has happened for a moment. And there's an exchange that takes place, and some Samoan students come onto campus here at Nottingham, very, very comfortable on the rugby pitch, and show us a thing or two about that perhaps. that we need for the Six Nations maybe in the future. But they come over, they're very comfortable there, but they want to find out a little bit more about British music. And they want to do that. So they see an advert around campus in Mooch. I've only found out that venue was around since yesterday. But imagine in Mooch that there was going to be a tribute gig for David Bowie. Okay, so they saw this advertised, and they thought, okay, well, we've heard David Bowie passed away recently. I'm not sure whether it's David Bowie or Bowie, but I'm just going to roll with Bowie. Well, we heard that he passed away recently. We want to pay our respects to him. And we want to hear his music and pay our respects. So they buy some tickets and head down to Mooch, and it's awful. It's absolutely awful. They get in, and there's no one there, and there's a guy who's missing a couple of guitar strings, and he's squawking his way through Space Oddity or something. It's just awful. It's so bad. And they run for the doors, absolutely humiliated and embarrassed that they wasted £5 of their money to go to this gig that was really terrible. But why do I tell you this? Well, as this performance was a false reflection of the real David Bowie, so-called Christians have similarly poorly represented Jesus Christ many times in history, in many ways poorly. The Crusades, mentioned at the beginning in that quote. The Crusades about 1,000 years ago were in war, people were killed, so-called Christians, killed Muslims to recover Palestine, I guess, from the Muslims. That would be one case people will point to perhaps in history. Or Northern Ireland, where troubles still go on today, don't they? Where in the name of religion there's been so much suffering and war. I think probably the younger generation in Northern Ireland today would say actually that's less about religion, it's more to do with us and them over there, and us. There's just a rivalry that's taking place there. Perhaps less so than previous generations. Or maybe Spotlight, I don't know if any of you saw it in the cinema recently. I think it's still out, you can go and see it. And it's a story of the uncovering of abuse scandals in the Roman Catholic hierarchy of the church. But people will point to these kind of things and say, look, that is wrong. That is wrong with the church, that's wrong with Christianity. I'm sure you can give other examples of evil done in the name of Jesus. But let me be clear, Jesus rightly condemns and hates this. Being a Christian means taking Jesus' words seriously, one of which is the explicit prohibition of the use of violence to defend Jesus' message. You've got one of them on your table with John's Gospel in the Bible, and you can read of Jesus on the night that he was betrayed and he was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. Ruth mentioned it last night if you were there. Actually, in that garden as Jesus was being arrested, one of his lead followers, lead disciples, Peter, took a sword and cut off the man arresting Jesus' ear. That's going to be a lot of blood, okay? This ear chopped off. You can imagine the scene when you don't want to. What did Jesus do at that moment? Did he high-five him? Did he say, oh, good work, Peter, really clean shot there, well done, well done? Or did he say, oh, Peter, you have stayed with me, you've been brave, thank you for defending me at this last battle? No, it doesn't say that at all. It doesn't say that at all. It says, Peter, put your sword away, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Let it be clear, a sword, gun, car bomb in the name of Jesus is to repudiate both Jesus and his whole message, his whole teaching. Jesus hated violence, even in this moment, just before he was going to die on the cross, this moment of untold suffering and violence. He said no to violence. Jesus even says in Matthew's Gospel, one of the other Gospels in the New Testament, he says that loads of people will do things and say things in my name, and I'll say to them that I never knew you. I never knew you. Jesus clearly hates violence done using his name. Going back to our friends from Samoa, okay, imaginary friends. Imagine that you bump into them on campus and they come up to you and they tell you of this experience in Mooch, and it's awful, absolutely awful. David Bowie is terrible. And you say to them, oh, that's a little bit unfair. No, actually, that's quite unfair. You've had a really rubbish kind of representation of him. And you do a bit of Googling and you find out that in Nottingham Rock City, it's the only other place I know in Nottingham because of my Googling, But in Rock City, there's another David Bowie tribute guy. You check that it's not the same guy, and all is well. And you say to your Simone friend, "Oh, can I take you to a better concert?" And they say, "Well, son, I'm not convinced." He said, "Oh, go on, I'll buy you a drink, I'll buy you a first drink, I'll buy you a ticket for the event as well." And they say, "Oh, go on, just smile, I'll go with you." Turn up at Rock City, oh, it's a different thing altogether. Oh, this guy's hitting all the right notes on the guitar, he's singing or squawking, and you recognise the cheer. Oh, it's brilliant. It's a completely different ball game. He's impressive. He even looks like David Bowie as well. It always helps, doesn't it? The tribute band. And your Simone friend hears this, he loves what he hears. It's great. And it's similarly with Christianity, there are often great examples, great representatives of Jesus Christ, men and women, who represent true Christianity, although perhaps don't always make the headlines. And to be fair to history, we need to note this as well, don't we? To understand the history of much of this country, we need to understand something of the history of Christianity upon it. Think of, just 1 minute, education and health. Why is it that so many schools and hospitals are called St. Peter's or St. Thomas's? That's because they were started by Christians. Christians were responsible in this country for ending child labour. A Christian, Martin Luther King, he sought to stand up against racism in the US. What about William Wilberforce, just to name another example, who dedicated his whole life in the name of Jesus Christ to ending the practice of slavery. The slave trade was seriously lucrative, and there was enormous incentive for the church to justify it. Slavery was abolished because Christians who were reading their Bible in one hand and saw the world in the other and said, "No, this doesn't line up. Actually, we need to do something about this." And eventually did, and ended the horrors of the slave trade. My own church in London is far from being perfect in many ways, but we're wanting to represent Jesus well in what we do in London. So that means in the church at the moment we're trying to stop another kind of slavery, sex slavery, prostitution that's often rampant in the areas of London. Others in the church, well, they go onto the streets and sit with men and women who are homeless and give them drink and food and chat to them and sort them out, trying to get somewhere for them to stay perhaps. The church is involved with the Pregnancy Crisis Centre as well, where men and women come in for help and counselling and care. Oh yeah, Christians have done bad stuff, but also great good has been done in society. I'd love to show you just one more thing, if I may. Look, our Simone friend, he's absolutely loving Bowie now. He's been to this gig and he's got the tunes going round, he's running around the rugby pitch whistling Space Oddity and other tunes like that. And he says to you, "I just love David Bowie." And you say to him, "Yeah, we've never actually heard David Bowie. You just heard a guy that looked a little bit like him and was trying to earn a bit of cash on the side, doing a tribute act. But you've never heard the real thing, have you?" Obviously, you're not going to be sadly able to see him live anymore, but you could go onto Spotify or iTunes and you would want to say to him, "Have a look at this, have a listen to the real thing, maybe on YouTube." That would be the fairest way of showing him the real David Bowie. Like, although we've seen both bad and good representatives of Christianity, it would be wrong for me not to show the real thing, Jesus Christ himself. And to actually see what he would say to the question, "Is religion bad for you?" Look, I think his answer might well surprise you. It was actually the religious establishment in his day, in which Jesus had frequent dealings with, in the way that he actually reserved some of his strongest words against them. To the Pharisees, you might have heard of one particular group, who were recognised for being highly religious, strong moralists. They said all the right things, did all the right things, and yet Jesus reacted more strongly against them than he did anyone else. Why? Why? Well, they were decent, they were upright, they were moral. Isn't that what God wants? Isn't that what Christianity is all about? Well, Jesus told a story about that. And if you just go in front of you, hopefully you'll have one of these little slips there that says Luke 18 on the top. And if you just get that out. I'm going to read that through to save us all from squinting at the screen now. That's what it says. So if you grab that, Jesus, he tells a story. He says this: to some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you that I'm not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week, and I give a tenth of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but he beat his breast and said, God, oh God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. You've got two men in the story. The Pharisee, as you said, highly religious, strong moralist. People looked up to them. And we've got a tax collector. Oh, people hated tax collectors. They were corrupt, they cheated people out of their money, they were traitors. So you've got these two characters here. And they give you, to take one thing away from this lunchtime, apart from a free character, whatever it was that you have on the way in, can it be this? It's that Jesus doesn't think Christianity is about being a good person, following rules perfectly, looking down on others who are less religious. That's what the Pharisee thought. Would get him into God's good books. No, so true Christianity is the exact opposite, like the tax collector in the story understood. He knew deep down that actually he wasn't good morally, that he couldn't even lift his head up to God to pray. He knew that he had acutely that he had a problem with his heart. He realised that he was a sinner in need of mercy, forgiveness, and a fresh start. You might hear this, okay, I'm not a sinner. I mean, I've never murdered, I've never cheated, but I've never lied excessively, I don't think at least. Jesus would say elsewhere that sin is deeper than just our actions. Actually, we have a problem with our hearts. One man in the story, deeply religious, sincere, yet he trusted his own performance, his own religiosity. He thought he had done enough for God's approval. Oh, the other man, he knew that he wasn't anything. He knew that he wasn't good enough for God. He could never do enough. Yet rather than trusting in his own religious performance, he humbly asked for forgiveness. And Jesus tells us that it's this second man in the story who goes home justified. That's just legal language for the declaration not guilty. See, true Christianity is not a self-improvement program where you work out how to discover your inner good and climb the moral ladder and those kind of things. It's simply to be rescued. Rescued from ourselves, from our sin, from our hearts, that are naturally bent away from God who made us. So that question was asked at the beginning, is religion bad for you? Well, perhaps surprisingly, Jesus says, in the Bible sense of the word, yes. Yes. Because it makes you think you've earned salvation through your own strength. We can see bad examples of Christianity, we can see great examples. But can I suggest that instead you look at the person of Jesus Christ, the one who was perfectly consistent in his words and his actions, one who said to people, serve others, and in his life served others by washing his disciples' feet, for one example there. Or one who said, forgive your enemies. Okay, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Quite hard. Forgive your enemies. What did Jesus do? Well, on the cross, as he was breathing his last breath as he died, he prayed to his Father in heaven, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. He prayed that over those who has killed him. But can I challenge you, take away one of these little biographies that you've got of Jesus' life. It's called On the Cover. It's John's Gospel, written shortly after Jesus' life on earth. And can I suggest that you read that, perhaps with that question in mind? As you read it, think, is this just a guy who kind of talks the talk and has all the chat? Or is he actually one who's consistent and walks the walk as well? But the theme of this week, as you've seen, I'm sure from the jumpers and other things as well, is life. And actually I believe that when we, like the tax collector, come before God and say, God, have mercy on me, a sinner, then we start to enjoy life more fully and enjoy it with the God who made us as well. That's all from me. Jodie's going to come up and say a few things, and then we'll have a bit of time for Q&A.